May snow covered Bulgaria. In India, a sudden storm ruined weddings for 36 couples. In China, cars were crushed by huge boulders. And in Brazil, a man was killed by a lightning strike through an ordinary wall outlet. Next, watch the details of these and other anomalous events of the past week. Brazil. A whole series of anomalous natural disasters struck Brazil. In late April, more than 50 days before the start of winter, temperatures across much of the state of Rio Grande do Sul were around 0 degrees Celsius or below. In the municipality of Soledade, the temperature dropped to minus 2.7 degrees Celsius. Frosts like this are rare here, even in winter. In the Porto Alegre metropolitan area, the air temperature fell to 3.9 degrees Celsius, while the average minimum temperature in the region is about 17 degrees Celsius. Abnormally low temperatures persisted for several days in a row, after which, on May 1st, powerful storms with thunderstorms, hail, and wind gusts of up to 106 kilometers per hour struck the state. Because of the large amount of rainfall, rivers and streams overflowed their banks. Fallen trees and floods blocked roads, leaving many communities isolated. Damage was recorded in 19 municipalities. Rosario do Sul was hit the hardest. In 7 hours, 324 millimeters of rain fell there, which is equal to almost 3 monthly norms. Because many homes were flooded, 500 residents had to evacuate. During the storm on Lake Patos, a fishing vessel sank with 4 crew members on board. 1 person died, and 3 others are still considered missing. In the municipality of Canguku, a man suffered a fatal electric shock caused by lightning. At that moment, he was using a phone connected to a wall outlet. In the municipality of Rio Grande, another lightning strike caused a fire in a residential building. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the house burned down completely. Storms also left significant destruction in different regions of Santa Catarina, especially in the mountainous areas and in the west of the state. In the city of São Joaquim, heavy rain and squally winds knocked down trees and damaged buildings, farmland, and infrastructure. According to authorities, such severe destruction may have been caused by a microburst or a tornado. Due to torrential rains in the state of Pernambuco, a state of emergency was declared in 27 municipalities, and more than 9,500 people were forced to leave their homes. In Olinda, after 184 millimeters of rain fell, a landslide occurred. A woman and her 6-month-old child died under the debris. In the state capital, Recife, another deadly landslide struck a residential house, claiming the lives of 3 people, including 2 young children. A critical situation also developed in the state of Paraíba. In the municipality of Santa Rita, the river level rose by more than 7 meters, cutting settlements off from the outside world. In Rio Tinto, a river overflowed its banks and flooded about 600 homes. In Inga, a bridge partially collapsed, blocking access to an emergency medical care point. At the same time, in Pedras de Fogo, a sinkhole appeared on the PB032 highway. As a result of the disaster, about 1,800 families in the state lost their homes, and infrastructure suffered serious damage. In the municipality of Guarabira, during preparations for street races in honor of Labor Day, 2 men suffered fatal electric shocks. Across the country since May 1st, the disaster has caused the deaths of at least 10 people. Bulgaria. On May 1st, Bulgaria came under the influence of a powerful Arctic front that brought an abnormal cold snap. At the highest point of the Shipka Pass, sub-zero temperatures and snow cover were recorded. Roads were treated with sand, including the panoramic Shipka-Buzluja route, which in some places became completely covered with ice. On the northern side of the pass, visibility was reduced by fog and snowfall. On the same day, a large-scale landslide occurred in the Rodope Mountains between the city of Smolyan and the resort of Pamporovo. It was preceded by heavy precipitation. In the Smolyan region, about 250 millimeters of rain fell in April, which is twice the norm. As a result of the landslide, about 70 meters of a national road were damaged. A section of forest covering almost 2 hectares was swept away, a gas pipeline was damaged, and an unfinished building became deformed and developed cracks. There were no casualties since there are no settlements nearby. However, the danger remains. The ground continues to move, and cracks in the road surface are widening. The restoration of the destroyed road may take from 6 months to 2 years. Traffic has been organized along 2 detour routes. The route became about 1 hour longer, fuel costs doubled, and one of the detours through the village of Stoikite turned out to be unsafe. On one section, a retaining wall collapsed, while on another, part of the roadway fell into a river. According to hotel owners in Pamporovo, prolonged transport isolation of the resort will lead to rising prices and significant economic losses. India. In India's capital, Delhi, on April 27th, the temperature rose above 42 degrees Celsius, and in the city of Jaisalmer, Rajasthan state, it reached 46 degrees Celsius on the same day, setting a record for this time of year. Residents were eagerly awaiting the cooling that had been forecast for the coming days. In Tonk district, a wedding ceremony involving 36 couples had even been planned for that period. However, weather conditions deteriorated sharply. A dust storm suddenly began, and within minutes the wind tore down huge tents, knocked over structures, and scattered metal elements across the area. Several women and children were injured. In Delhi, the dust storm was accompanied by wind gusts of up to 75 kilometers per hour, while visibility dropped almost to zero. This led to flight delays at Indira Gandhi International Airport. In the city of Sikar, the disaster caused power line poles to fall. 2 days later, on April 29th, the city of Bengaluru in Karnataka state was hit by a powerful thunderstorm. Strong winds knocked down about 170 trees, which, as they fell, snapped power lines and blocked streets. Emergency services received more than 500 calls. Intense hail covered the city, and the temperature dropped sharply to 18 degrees Celsius, which is significantly below the climatic norm. Many streets in central Bengaluru were covered with a white icy layer, and local residents said they had never before encountered such a large amount of hail. During the thunderstorm, a record downpour occurred. In 24 hours, 110 millimeters of precipitation fell in the city, making it the rainiest April day in the entire history of observations. Because of the storm, urban businesses were seriously affected. In one bookstore, water flooded the premises, destroying about 5,000 books. Flooding in low-lying areas disrupted transport and city services. Metro platforms were flooded, trains ran with delays, major traffic jams formed, and movement in the city almost came to a halt. In some places, the water rose to almost 1 meter. In the Shivajinagar area, a 2-meter wall of Bowring Hospital collapsed near where people were sheltering from the downpour. 7 people died, including a 6-year-old girl, and 3 others were hospitalized. And these were not the only fatalities. Across the country, the disaster claimed the lives of 3 more people, 2 of whom suffered fatal electric shocks, while 1 was buried under the debris of a destroyed house. Vietnam. Although the rainy season had not yet begun, on April 26th, powerful storms with heavy rain, thunderstorms, hail, and squally winds struck several provinces of Vietnam. As a result of the disaster, roofs were torn off buildings, trees were knocked down, and power lines were damaged. About 490 residential houses were affected, along with schools, kindergartens, and administrative institutions. Agriculture suffered significant damage. More than 3,400 hectares of rice, corn, and vegetable crops were destroyed. In addition, acacia plantations were also affected. In Nam Xuan Commune, Thanh Hoa Province, a tragedy occurred on April 28th. A powerful squall destroyed a stilt house where an elderly couple and their 13-year-old grandson were staying. The child, who had already been asleep at the time of the incident, was trapped under the debris and died. China. In Fengshan County, Hechi Prefecture, Guangxi Province, a sudden slope collapse occurred on the evening of April 28th. Large boulders broke loose from a height of about 135 meters, damaging the road, vehicles, and roadside buildings. Several cars were crushed or deformed beyond recognition, As a result of the rockfall, a mother and child who were passing by were injured. They were quickly taken to the hospital. According to the owner of an auto repair shop located near the collapse site, there was first a sound resembling thunder, and within a few seconds, rocks were already falling down. He managed to lead his wife and 6-year-old son out through the back door. The impact was so powerful that the boulders bent the front columns and rolled into the building. Another eyewitness said that a truck near his repair shop was thrown into a neighboring store, while a family minivan was flattened. According to estimates, the scale of the collapse was significant. The volume of fallen rock was about 1,000 cubic meters. As a result of the incident, 6 houses, 18 vehicles, and roadside infrastructure were damaged. The road was blocked and 130 people were quickly evacuated from the dangerous area. According to preliminary data, the rockfall was caused by prolonged heavy rains that weakened the rock mass. Pakistan. Sindh province and neighboring areas were hit by powerful thunderstorms with heavy rain and squally winds on April 27th. In the city of Jafarabad and its surroundings, a hurricane destroyed houses, roofs, and solar panels, injuring 9 people, 3 of whom were hospitalized in serious condition. Strong winds damaged the power supply system, and several areas were plunged into darkness. At the same time, rainwater accumulated in low-lying areas, creating additional problems for local residents. On the same day, the province also faced the consequences of lightning strikes. In Shikarpur district, a thunderstorm discharge caused wheat crops and livestock fodder to catch fire. In the village of Gordiyar in Tharparkar district, 30 mud brick houses were destroyed by fire, and domestic animals were also injured and killed. Near the city of Pirialo, Khairpur district, a lightning strike caused a fire in a date grove. The tops of the trees caught fire in the middle of the night, spreading panic among residents. 3 lightning strikes in Kwambar Shadadkot district had tragic consequences. 3 women were injured, and 2 children died. In recent years, an anomalous intensification of thunderstorm activity has been observed around the world. Nevertheless, many people continue to regard thunderstorms as an ordinary weather phenomenon, unpleasant and frightening, but not posing a direct threat to life. This is especially true for regions where thunderstorms used to occur rarely or were less intense. And this is the main problem. Our perception often fails to keep up with the changing reality. Today, the amount of electrical energy in the atmosphere is rapidly increasing. Figuratively speaking, it is increasingly beginning to resemble a giant energy capacitor, and the role of this capacitor is played by nanoplastic, which has an electret effect, the ability to accumulate and retain an electric charge. This enhances the electrification of clouds, causing thunderstorms to become more intense, lightning to become more powerful, and lightning strikes to occur more often in atypical places and outside the usual season. Today, lightning is increasingly behaving differently than before. People are used to the idea that a thunderstorm discharge strikes the tallest objects, so being near towers or buildings creates a feeling of relative safety. But the practice of recent years shows that lightning is increasingly striking directly at a person or a group of people, despite the presence of taller structures nearby. That is why our attitude toward thunderstorms and lightning needs to be reconsidered. Today, this is a potentially deadly natural phenomenon, but this does not mean that every cloud should be feared. Rather, it means that people should clearly know how to behave in such situations. When thunder appears or a thunderstorm approaches, one must not continue walking, swimming, working outdoors, or playing in the yard as if nothing is happening. At that moment, it is important not to watch the thunderstorm, but to take shelter in a safe place in time. It is important not only to know these and other rules, but also to explain them to those around us, especially children. They are particularly vulnerable because they are not always able to assess danger quickly and tend to copy the behavior of adults. A thunderstorm is a phenomenon that can cost lives, and the sooner we realize this, the more tragedies can be prevented.
Oh my God! Nasa baba na yung ano. Ayan na! Oh my God!
Papunta yan na ginubat.
Ashfall.
Mayon Volcano in the Philippines has once again reminded people of its dangerous power through a series of alarming events that changed life in Albay Province in just a few days. According to the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, the first signs of unrest were recorded on about May 2nd, between 12:40 and 12:55 a.m. The volcano ejected pyroclastic material, while rockfalls and ashfall were also observed.
Ayo. Grabe.
Ayo boy, pababa na boy. Tara na.
The main episode of activity occurred at around 3:33 a.m. Specialists recorded lava effusion, 284 rockfalls, and 14 pyroclastic density current signals. The volcano released about 3,497,000 pounds of sulfur dioxide. 32 volcanic earthquakes were also registered, including 25 tremors lasting from 2 to 15 minutes.
Estimated tanaw eh.
Because of the continuing activity, authorities were forced to organize road clearing operations, evacuate residents, and impose flight restrictions. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines issued a safety warning after the eruption on May 2nd. Aircraft were prohibited from flying at altitudes of up to 11,000 feet within a radius of about 3.7 miles from the volcano's summit.
Malit, tara na. Dalaan mo na.
On Sunday, May 3rd, the consequences of the eruption became especially visible to local residents. On Maharlika Highway in Camelic, visibility dropped almost to zero. According to the Office of Civil Defense, ashfall affected at least 52 villages in Albay Province.
Parang nagbuhat ng simento, ayan ang itsura ng dito. Sitwasyon ng mga tao, lahat ganito ang itsura, may mga alikabok sa katawan. Hindi muna pwede kumain kasi magkakaroon ng alikabok yung pagkain.
So scary.
Residents were advised to stay indoors, while those who needed to go outside were urged to wear masks to avoid respiratory problems. Agriculture also suffered serious damage. More than 59 acres of farmland in Camelic were completely destroyed, and some areas in Ginobidan were partially damaged. Several farm animals died. Against the backdrop of the widespread impact, a state of calamity was declared in a number of municipalities in Albay.
Para tayo hinahabol.
The Philippine Space Agency, PhilSA, provided an additional picture of the damage. It prepared a map of the areas affected by ashfall after a pyroclastic density current on Mayon Volcano. According to the analysis, ash covered about 21,113 acres. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology kept Mayon at alert level 3. This means that volcanic unrest remains intense and magmatic in nature, while the possibility of a more powerful eruption persists. In the Philippines, as on the planet as a whole, volcanic activity is rising in a synchronized pattern. This is not a random coincidence, but a natural consequence of the activation of magmatic processes deep within the planet in recent years. Everyone needs to know about this, because it represents a potential danger even for regions where volcanic eruptions have never occurred. Watch the video by Dr. Egon Cholakian, in which he explains the processes now taking place, and you will see this for yourself.
I can identify the time period in which the final flight in human history will take place. If humanity fails to take decisive action, the time will come within the foreseeable future when neither airplanes nor helicopters will be able to lift off the ground. Let's start with a well-known atmospheric phenomenon today, turbulence. Today's topic concerns every one of us without exception. However, those who travel by air regularly have likely been the first to notice a troubling trend. Turbulence is no longer a rare occurrence. Official statistics confirm these observations. Flights are indeed becoming increasingly turbulent. But why? Familiar air routes are turning into high-risk zones, and the root cause lies much deeper than is commonly believed. However, let's begin with the consequences, the dangerous trends in aviation that have already become impossible to ignore. In late July 2025, just about 2 weeks ago, the BBC published an article titled, "Why Plane Turbulence is Becoming More Frequent and More Severe." The article highlights exactly what we at Alatra have long been warning the global public about. Unfortunately, many are only now beginning to grasp the reality of what we've been saying. According to the BBC article, airline passengers are increasingly encountering a growing problem: more frequent and more intense turbulence during flights. Forecasts indicate that the frequency and duration of turbulence could double or even triple in the coming decades. The consequences of this trend are being felt by both passengers and airlines. In 2023, 40% of serious injuries on board aircraft were directly related to turbulence. Airlines are incurring substantial financial losses, ranging from $200,000 to $1.9 million per year. They are being forced to alter flight paths, which lead to increased fuel consumption. It is well known in the scientific community that turbulence can arise from a variety of causes. There is a convective turbulence, triggered by clouds and thunderstorms, orographic turbulence, caused by mountainous terrain, and a phenomenon known as clear air turbulence. As the name would suggest, this type of turbulence occurs in seemingly clear skies and is undetected by onboard sensors. According to the BBC article, clear air turbulence is typically caused by sudden shifts in wind speed or direction. However, this explanation fails to account for a critical aspect: why aircraft, when caught in clear air turbulence, can suddenly drop dozens of meters within seconds. A striking example occurred on May 20th, 2024, when a Boeing 777 operated by Singapore Airlines encountered sudden clear air turbulence over Myanmar while en route from London to Singapore. The aircraft lost 178 feet, approximately 54 meters, of altitude in just 4.6 seconds. Passengers who were not wearing seatbelts were violently thrown into the ceiling and aisles. One person even lost their life, marking the first fatality due to turbulence in the past 27 years. Research published in June 2023 reveals that over the North Atlantic, the most severe instances of clear air turbulence occurred 55% more frequently in 2020 than in 1979. And yet, despite the steadily increasing frequency and intensity of turbulence, so-called experts continue to assure us that it is more of a nuisance than a serious safety concern. I quote from the BBC article, But even if turbulence becomes more frequent and severe, experts say there is no cause for concern. Oh, what a bitter, short-sighted delusion that is. Turbulence, especially clear air turbulence, is a very real cause for concern, and it is precisely the lack of understanding of its underlying mechanisms that leads to such reckless conclusions. As early as April 2023, prior to release of the aforementioned study on the rising trends in clear air turbulence, ALLATRA, in collaboration with our partner project, Creative Society, held a forum entitled Global Crisis, There Is a Way Out. Therein, we publicly outlined the trends and projections for the intensification of this phenomena. Moreover, we presented the specific mechanism by which dangerous episodes of clear air turbulence occur, incidents that have, in fact, ended in aircraft crashes. Please take a look at this excerpt from the presentation.
There will be more turbulent pockets in the atmosphere, especially at altitudes of 26,000 feet and higher, where most planes fly. These air pockets are already breaking through to the ground, and the time will come when there will be so many such pockets that flying and sailing will be impossible. If you take off, it's not certain that you'll land safely, and it will be very risky. It's scary, but we have to talk about it. We are obliged to warn people. Unfortunately, in the consumerist format of society where human life is worth nothing, such anomalies are not properly studied, and moreover, they will be hidden to the public until the last moment so as not to cause panic and not to lose profit. How many airlines do you think will want to make a statement that flying is now dangerous? You know the answer yourself. Let's summarize. Due to a disruption in the Earth's core caused by external cosmic impact, the magnetic field of our planet undergoes catastrophic changes. Anomalous auroras, light pillars, atmospheric overturns, turbulence anomalies, zones of extreme decrease in air and water density are observed. There are also areas of magnetic anomalies where living organisms and people are dying. And if the overall destabilization of the magnetic field is related to the disruption of the core in general, then local migrating zones of magnetic anomalies have an even more detailed explanation. These anomalies are formed by sudden bursts of electromagnetic energy from the planet's interior, and these bursts occur as a result of cavitation explosions of magma in the interior of our planet. Due to the destabilization of the core, such explosions occur more and more frequently, which means that soon we will observe not only intensification of the above-mentioned anomalies, but also a huge amount of lightning striking from the Earth's surface and an increase in the number of ball lightning. All the facts you have heard today about the changes in the electromagnetic field indicate that our core is already extremely unstable, and that means that our planet is currently following the worst scenario of the cycle of climate catastrophes.
I want to emphasize that atmospheric heating certainly plays a role in intensifying turbulence and jet streams. However, as you now understand, there is an additional factor contributing to the emergence of clear air turbulence: electromagnetic anomalies linked to processes occurring deep within the Earth. These are processes that continue to escalate exponentially. No matter how much you may wish to hear comforting reassurances, I must speak the truth, however harsh or frightening it may be. Based on our mathematical modeling and forecast of ongoing geodynamic trends, I can identify the time period in which the final flight in human history will take place. And I say this with full responsibility. I'm not referring to a specific date, but rather a quarter within a given year, with an approximate margin of error of 3 months. 2 years ago, we publicly warned of the growing turbulence. We knew what was truly happening, and what we are now witnessing is merely a consequence of these processes. Moreover, the situation will only continue to worsen with each passing year. If humanity fails to take decisive action, the time will come within the foreseeable future when neither airplanes nor helicopters will be able to lift off the ground. Global air travel as we know it today will cease to exist.